right, so welcome back to our lesson this week. And remember, in English, we are working on text connections. So we are linking ourselves and our world, which we did on Sunday. We are looking at how we can read something and link it with the world and what's happening in it. And today we're looking at other texts. So linking one book or text with another text that we've read. So remember that text basically just means anything that we read. So it could be a story, a magazine article, a journal entry, a song, a poem, anything as long as it's writing. So we've looked at text to self, and that was what we did on Sunday. So today we are looking at text to text, okay? So remember, those are our three: text to text, text to self, which we've already done, and text to world. So like I said, today we're doing text to text. And basically, that is a connection between a text and another text that you have read. So you're going to think, oh, hey, this story reminds me of a different story, or this character is exactly like the character in this book. So basically, text-to-text connections, like I said, they are connections we make to other things that we have read, okay? So we can ask these questions when we are looking to make connections. So what does this remind me of in another book I've read? How is this text similar to other things I've read? How is this text different from other things I've read? And have I read something like this before? So those are questions to ask yourself as you're going through and looking to try and find a text-to-text connection. Now, some of them are easier than others. Some of them you'll be like, ooh, these are the same characters in this book and this book. Or it could be a similar type of book, okay? Maybe it's like a magical book, or maybe it's an adventure book. So there are similarities that are super easy that we can look for. So a couple of examples, okay? First one, when I read Harry Potter, it made me think of Matilda because both characters can do magic, okay? So Harry Potter is magic and Matilda is magic, but she is the only one with magical powers in Matilda. The next one, remember when we read Molly Lou Melon at the start of the school year? So when Molly Lou Melon moved to a new school, it reminded me of the book First Day Jitters that I read in kindergarten. It is about feeling nervous and scared on the first day of school. I think Molly Lou Melon might have felt nervous too when she moved to her new school. So we're linking books. Some of them, like I said, are easier than others. Some of them you really have to think about, oh, this is a story I read. So I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to think if this reminds you of another book that you have read. Elizabeth knew she had to hurry. She still hadn't finished her chores, and she had to get going to school. She finished gathering the eggs and then got a pail of water from the well out back. Ma was just putting her breakfast on the table when she finished. Elizabeth ate as fast as she could, grabbed her books and her slate, and started the long walk home. So what's something that you've read that this reminds you of? So let's see. Well, when I read that Elizabeth was gathering eggs, it reminded me of Sasha's story in social studies, which we read last week. Remember the main idea? Okay, because they both had to do chores, so they both worked and did chores in the morning. So even you can link it to anything. Remember, it's a text, so anything that you have read. Okay? When I read that Elizabeth was gathering eggs, it reminded me of the hen in Charlotte's Web. Okay? So maybe it has nothing to do with gathering eggs, but just there was a hen in Charlotte's Web, and there's obviously a hen laying eggs with Elizabeth's story, okay? So it can be really simple, really basic. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is really far-fetched and out there, like, oh, this is exactly the same. It just has to have a small link, just like with the text to self. You just had to think of anything it made you think of. That's what the connection is for you. Okay, we're going to look at another one. Amber and Brittany had been best friends since they were 5 years old when they were in the same kindergarten class. But last month, a new girl named Heather joined their class. At first, Amber, Brittany, and Heather had all hung out together. But lately, Amber and Heather haven't been including Brittany. Brittany is worried that she may have lost her best friend. okay? So think about a text connection here. So one of them could be that when I read that Brittany was worried she might be losing her best friend, it reminded me of when Molly Lou Mellon had to move to a new school and leave her friends behind. Okay? It also reminded me of the book Chrysanthemum because the character in that book also feels excluded. So maybe you have a book in mind where maybe someone's left out, or someone, maybe just a book about 3 friends. Okay? So that's things that have happened. So maybe it's a book about best friends. Maybe it's a book about at school. Okay? Maybe it's a book just about people hanging out. Or maybe you have a book where the character also is worried about losing her best friend. So remember that we have good answers, better answers, and best answers. And because it's almost the end of the school year, you should try to think of your best answers, okay? You should be writing your best answers. When I read Brittany was worried she might be losing her best friend, so telling me exactly what happened in the reading, it reminded me when Molly Lou Mellon left her friends behind because she had to go to a new school. So you're adding details to your answers, okay? So now you're going to try and do it again. Remember, there are 2 task cards for you, just to make one connection with, okay? Now remember, level 1 is just one text-to-text connection for each task card. Level 2 is more than one connection, and level 3 is more than one connection and a bonus. Now, this one is super hard, okay? It's hard to think of other books we've read. Some of them are easier than others, but because I'm giving you the book or the passage that you have to link to, I am happy for you to do level 1 on this one if you can come up with just one text-to-text connection for this one, okay? So even if you want to do level 1 and the bonus page, I'm fine with that. I will still give you the points. This one is super tricky, so that's why, okay? So, number 1, Jake caught Rascal when he was just a puppy. He trained Rascal to sit and to stay and to fetch. Every day, Jake took Rascal on a long walk in the park near his house. Every night, Rascal slept curled up at the end of Jake's bed. Rascal was Jake's best friend, okay? So on a piece of paper or in your home learning journal, you're just going to write task card number 1, and then you're going to write the connection you've made. So maybe you can think of another story that has a dog, okay? Maybe you can think of another story that has a boy and a dog. Maybe you can think of another story where a person got an animal as a pet, okay? It doesn't have to be a dog, it's just a pet. Or maybe you just have a story about a boy when going on long walks or in a park, okay? Think about it. Maybe you read another story where the name Rascal was in it or the name Jake was in it, okay? So think really hard, and remember you only have to write 1 or 2 text-to-text connections for that one. So pause the video and you can do that. All right, here's the next one. So on your home learning journal or piece of paper, you just need to write task card number 2. And here we go. Princess Penelope was not a happy princess. She was not allowed to walk through the forest by herself. No one would teach her to use a sword. And dragon hunting was, of course, completely forbidden. Worst of all, in just 1 month, her father, the king, was going to choose a man for her to marry. Okay, so what does this make you think about? Maybe it makes you think of another story with a princess. Maybe it makes you think of a story that has a dragon. Maybe you are thinking about a story where they get married, okay, or a forest, or a story with a sword. Okay, so think about another book that you could link this to. Okay. So your second job, after you finish those 2, remember that this we've already done, your text to self. Okay, so this one you should have already done on Sunday. So today you need to fill out the text to text, okay? But again, I do not want to see this. Do not send it to me yet, okay? So you need to send me your answer for task card 2 and task card 1 but not this one, even though you still have to do it, okay? So this one we did Sunday. Hopefully you've found a book and you've been able to figure out the connection between that book and yourself. So today you're going to pick a book that you are reading, okay? And it could be any book that you're reading or have read, and you're going to try to connect it to another book that you've read. And that's it. That's what you're just going to do. So you can just write, oh, this book because they have the same characters, or this book because it was also about an adventure, okay? So make sure that you're linking your books. So like I said, you could write that. So for me, I'm reading Alice in Wonderland. She went on an adventure, okay? So I need to find another book where the girl also went on an adventure, okay? So I actually think that I could link it to Peter Pan, because in that book, Wendy went on an adventure with Peter Pan, didn't she? So I have Alice in Wonderland, because she went on an adventure to Wonderland, and Wendy and Peter Pan also went on an adventure, and I'm pretty sure they wear the same dress in the movie, or similar colors. So that would be a good text-to-text connection. I've linked Peter Pan with Alice in Wonderland. And then if you're still thinking, you know what, I think I can do a little bit more, you just have to think of one story that you have read, okay, that has made you think of something that happened in another book, and you just write that down. Okay, so you're just thinking of one more extra text-to-text connection, and this is your bonus challenge. So remember that this page is optional. Okay, so this one, do not send it to me, but please fill out the text-to-text, otherwise you will have a lot more work to do over the weekend. And today you just need to submit task card 2 and task card 1, your answer, and remember that it's okay if you just have one text-to-text connection for both of those. You have today and tomorrow to complete this. Our next lesson for English will be on Thursday. So just make sure that you have that done for Thursday. And that's it for me. I will see you back here Thursday for your next English lesson.